another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden.
What's that noise? Okay, so as usual we'll start in the greenhouse. One thing that's been done in here this week is I've got some pipe lagging, which is the foamy stuff to go around copper piping to stop them freezing. And what I've done is I've bunged up the holes in the glass there where the grapevines come through. And obviously I've also bunged up these bottom bits here. But what I need to do is put some plate over there to stop because there is obviously some holes at the bottom of there, so there is a bit of draft coming through still. But that seems to have stopped any. I think it was Marge coming through eating the lettuce and the rocket, but the lettuce and the rocket have really picked up now. Obviously the leaves are a bit chewed up, but they're really coming on. The rocket's really taken off now, if you can excuse the pun. But there's a little bit of whitefly I've noticed in here actually. We had loads of whitefly earlier this week. I don't know if you saw it in the last video where I'd got the ladybirds. We've had loads of whitefly and it's been in the house and everywhere, to be honest. But anyway, that's the rocket. So the rocket's really coming on, and it's all grown all the way down. Obviously, I've taken all the cucumber plants out now, so I'm watering this just a little bit twice a week. But that's coming on quite nicely now. So I'm getting a little bit of I don't know if you can see that, but there's some like fungus growing there as well. So it's perhaps a little bit too wet in here now. So obviously lettuce and rocket and that doesn't take up much water, but you can see if I do that, I don't know if you can see the whitefly. So what I'll do is if I find any more ladybirds I'll bring them in here so they can eat the whitefly. I had a really good result last week. I told you I was going to go and get some coffee grounds, and I just want to say a big thank you to Starbucks, who are the people who give me this. But I called in at the petrol station actually on the M42, and they gave me this, which is believe it or not, there's probably about 20-25 kilos of coffee grains there, which is more than enough that I could possibly use in a year. So what I'll do is I need to put a bit on the asparagus bed outside, because I've put that wood chip on. As I've explained before, the wood chip, as it rots down, takes the nitrogen out of the soil. So what you need to do is replace that, and obviously what I'm going to do is put some coffee on there and just enhance that a little bit with the nitrogen, so the wood chip will break down and everything. But what I'll be doing is I'll probably give some of this away to some of my neighbouring allotmenteers to put on their allotment as well. So really pleased with that. The cucumbers, cucumbers are there, so that's what made me say that. I'm going to give them to the chickens in a little bit later on today. But this is the what's left of the courgette. You know, it was a kind of a cross between a pumpkin and a courgette. Well, the actual flesh isn't quite as orange as a a pumpkin, but it has got this orangey tinge to it, which obviously you don't get with a courgette, because a courgette's kind of a paley green colour. But that's the result of the crossbreeding of courgettes and pumpkins. You get that. I obviously haven't eaten any. I will try and have a bit of these that are left. But anyway, these are the pumpkins that we prepared for Halloween. So these are the seeds with it. So these are the sunflower seeds, and they're dry and ready. So what I'll do with them now is I'll put them in a brown paper bag in the house, and just keep them dry over the winter. And I'll be planting them next year. The strawberries, I haven't really done much, to be honest with you. Even the ones that are fruited don't seem to have come to anything. That's the fruit there. They just don't seem. None of them have actually ripened. I don't know if it's too late for them now. But I put them in early enough. They were put in I think it was April this year. I started them off in the greenhouse, but they just don't seem to have come to anything. I mean, I've kept watering them. They're still quite wet. Oh no, now I've said that, there is actually one here. I've just noticed. There's a little. If you can see that little alpine strawberry, but I'll give that a go in a bit, see what it tastes like. But before we go any further, I'll just have a quick chat about the seeds that I've got for next year, and and all the other bits and bobs that I've bought now to save money. Okay, so that was the greenhouse this week. And enough of that Halloween business. No, seriously, I won't do it again. No, that was definitely the last time. So, the carrots are as is. There's not a lot happened up here. These nasturtiums have gone absolutely crazy this week. You can see this. It really does demonstrate, by putting the wood chip and that and the muck on the ground, how it retains the heat and moisture in the ground. You know, things always grow so much better in there. So obviously, you know, the asparagus is going to really do well with that next year. So as I say, it's well worth putting all that on. Don't forget, when you put the wood chip on there, it's going to take the nitrogen out of the ground, so put a bit of coffee on or whatever as well. Nothing much has changed here. Obviously I showed you the raspberries being cut down earlier in the week. I've been tidying up around here a bit. Obviously this was dug last week, but I've taken all the old bits of slab from there. These tunnels here, this one hasn't really changed much. Obviously we've been picking spinach all week, and the kale is exactly as it was last week. I've taken down the bamboo canes from here, which the sweet peas were growing up. Any canes that you've got growing things up in the garden, don't leave them out over the winter. Even if you pull them out of the ground, and just, you know, don't be tempted to leave them on top of a shed roof or something like that. Always get them inside, because it's the wet and the cold during the winter which are going to rot them. Then it makes a difference between you buying new canes every 10 years or buying them every 2 or 3 years. So if you want your canes to stay good, then put them inside over the winter. If you haven't got room inside to put them, if they're like 8-foot canes or something like that, then whilst they're dry, wrap them up in some plastic or something like that, and then strap them away, as you know, underneath something to to protect them from the elements. I really do need to get around to pulling that out. That was something I was going to hopefully do today, but we've had loads of rain, and I just haven't had a chance to do that. The broccoli's doing really well. That's there's a couple that have started to form a head, which is really early for them, but as I say, the caterpillar damage has stopped now, and that's all coming on. This is a bit that I wanted to dig. I've pulled out all the courgettes and old pumpkin plants from here, and you'll have noticed I've already pulled out all of the sweet peas. There were still a few sweet peas on, but I just picked them to put in the house and to disposed of all the old plants, because the courgettes don't really compost down into much. Really, they just turn into kind of a sludgy mess. So I've put them in the recycling bin, to be honest. And the sweet peas, again, they're quite stringy and they don't really compost down very well, so they've also gone in the composting bin. So, but this bit here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll get a bit of time up here and I'll dig all that over, dig some muck in, which is in this barrel here. The other thing is because we get so much wind over here, as I've explained in the past, what I'm going to be doing is these black bins, I'll be putting them up the top where the wind's not going to blow them about, because you do find over the winter that they do tend to, unless they're full stuff, they're going to be launched, you know, particularly the lids. And if you've got people with greenhouses like myself in an allotment, these lids do make a hell of a mess of the glass if they get flown across and hit the glass. So weight them down with bricks like I've done here if you're not going to shift them, but just put them up out the way over the winter if there's nothing in them, otherwise the wind will catch them. This is all the old fencing from around the rhubarb. You'll see that in a minute. And it's best part rotten, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do is, obviously it's bonfire night very soon, in 3 days' time in fact, so all of this is going to be burnt. I'm not going to bother about taking the nails out. What I'm going to do is burn it as is, smash it all up and burn it in the incinerator to make loads of ash for next year. And then what I'm going to do is, whilst the ash is still dry, is shovel that up and put it in a bucket, and then get a magnet like I've shown you before, put a magnet inside a plastic bag, and then you can sift through it very quickly with a magnet, take all the screws and nails out, obviously dispose of them. As soon as nails and screws have been in the fire, they're no good to man the beast, so ditch them, you know, they're no good, you know, as soon as the steel has got hot, then it'll weaken the molecular structure of the nails and the screws, so they're no good for anything. So put them straight in the bin, don't try and recycle them. The parsnips are starting to die back now. This is basically what they do this time of year. So make sure that your rows are clearly marked, so when you come up in the winter to dig them up, you know where your parsnips are. And I always think parsnips are always best when they've had a bit of frost. So what I normally do is I don't normally dig any up until we've had one frost. The parsnips tend to be a lot sweeter and nicer to eat as soon as you've had a bit of frost on them. Obviously you can dig them up now, there's nothing stopping you from digging them up, but I always find they're better left in the ground. Dig them up as and when you need them, so they're nice and fresh, but all of these tops now will start to die off. But as I say, they're always best if you let them have a frost first, then dig them up. The beetroot, really get it up now, because it's most certainly past its best. So these ones that I've got left here, I've had rabbits over, unfortunately. As you can see, the little blighters have bitten the top off that one. So the ones that are left, really, I've had out really what we need, but the beetroot really needs to come out now. If you're going to do anything with it, if you're going to pickle it or anything, now's the best time to dig it up. The Swedes can stay in the ground. They'll be okay till next spring, really. But these ones really haven't fattened up. We've got a few fat ones up the row. This one here is really starting to fatten up, and I don't know if you can see that one there. I'll just zoom in on it. That one there is really coming on. So they are starting to fatten up, but I don't know why. It just hasn't been the year for Swede. Most certainly here. My neighbours have also said that their Swedes haven't been very good this year. The rhubarb, as you can see, I've removed all the fence round, which is the bit I've just explained up there. That's all been taken out, and what I've done is I've removed all of the old canes apart from those two. That one there, the black one, and that one there, so I can see where the old fence went. I've left that bit up the corner there. There's no rhubarb there. That's just where I store the plastic. And then I've put in 2 canes here, one here, or 2 stakes here, and one there, and that's going to basically mark the end post, or roughly the end post. Now I've put these. They're not slabs as such, they're the ones that go up the side of a drive or whatever. And the reason I've done that is what I want to do is set the fence back a little bit. So when I'm going past with the wheelbarrow, it's not falling over the because I'm expecting the fence is going to come to about here, and the rhubarb's going to most certainly come over the top of the fence. So I want that to be sort of step back a bit. So this one is basically that line there, if you like, is where the fence is going to be. This is going to be under the fence, and this one is going to be sort of in front of the fence, so there'll be a little bit more path where that is. Now I've dug all underneath here, as I said I would, and I've removed all of the weed that was in there. You know, I had some bindweed and I had some twitch grass. All of that's been dug out from under here. I've gone down and dug all that out as much as I can, and all of the weed that was kind of in that area there, as you can see, the ground's disturbed there. I've dug all that out as best I can without disturbing the rhubarb roots underneath. So that should be all of the weed that's out. Any that comes through in the spring before the rhubarb, as I was explaining in a previous video, what I'll do is give that a dose of Roundup, just to kill that off before the rhubarb comes through. But 2 comments down here, as I've explained before. Yeah, there's a bindweed root. That's what I've been digging at. It's obviously a bit I've missed. The heads of the rhubarb, which are these here, look. That's what's going to form the rhubarb next year. Now, all of this sort of black stuff, which I'm not going to remove, is just like the dead material from this year. But as you can see, this one here, look, can you see under there? That's the new bud for next year, and that's why you should never walk on a rhubarb patch. You know, even though it looks dead, if you walk on that, you're going to damage it. So never be tempted to walk on it. When I was fetching the weeds out there earlier on, I was really careful not to actually step on the patch itself. So this is where the fence is going to go, here. And then obviously it'll go along either side. The way I'm going to put it in, I'll explain this in more detail when I actually do it, is I'm going to put the end piece in here, and the 2 posts either end. The steel posts that you saw in the previous video are going to be driven in the ground here, which is why that bit's missing, and here. So this bit here, this bit at the front here, that's 183 centimetres long. This bit at the back is 173, which should ring a bell because that's how big the panels are. So the first post is going to go here, and the second post is going to go here where this blue door just in front of it here. So that's the startings of preparing the ground for the new fence. So I'll put the end one in here, and then I'll work up the front here. I'm going to put a straight line along, making sure that that end is as far from the front as this end is, so I know that it's square, and then I'll put the other end in and then follow up the back here. I'm going to put all of the wood together first, sitting on bricks, and then as soon as I know it's all square, because I can still move it around backwards and forwards, as soon as I've made sure that it's all square and it's all straight and all the rest of it, I'll then be driving the steel posts into the ground, apart from this end, which will already be in. I'll then be driving the steel posts into the ground to make sure it stays straight and it's anchored into the ground. So that's the rhubarb. One last point, whilst I was taking up some stones up here, I found a load of eggs, which are slug eggs, and that they look kind of like this. They're like little round balls about 3mm or so across. If you see any of these, put your finger straight through them like that, just squash them, because these are the slugs that are going to be eating your potatoes or whatever next year. So this is most certainly something that you need to do. If you see any eggs at all like this, and they're always in like a cluster, a little round cluster in the ground, these are next year's slugs. So most certainly either put your finger through them like I just have, or your foot, or whatever, just stand on them, make sure that they're all and if you pull any stones up in the ground like that, you know, you can find like a little cluster of them underneath, or particular pieces of wood. If you've got any wood like this in the garden around this time of year when it's been raining, it's a good idea to turn the piece of wood upside down to see if you've got any eggs, slug eggs. If you have, obviously squash them, because that's what's going to be eating your food next year. So that's the enough about the rhubarb. Just quickly moving on here. Obviously I've dug all of this over, you've seen that before. Not a lot has changed down this side, to be honest with you. I didn't get around to making the leek soup this week, but I'm sure I will do next week. I'll be eating some more of this chard for dinner today, and some of the kohlrabi. This was only dug a couple of weeks ago, and you can see the weed is still starting to come through. This is a real sign how mild an autumn we're having so far. It's still, even though it's quite wet, we're having a very mild autumn this year. So this is why a lot of the seeds are germinating now rather than in the spring. But it's all good, because if they germinate now, they're going to die in the winter and they won't be there in the spring. So every cloud's got a silver lining. But obviously, if you've got anything like that, it's an idea just to put the hoe through it, but I wouldn't worry about it too much, because they're going to die in the winter anyway. But you know, you can just tidy it up with the hoe if you've got 2 minutes. The one thing I haven't got around to doing, which is what I'm probably going to do after I've done this video, is to pull off all of the winter gourds. As you can see, there's the 4 now. This plant's really died back over the past week. Obviously we're having quite cool evenings now. That butternut squash there I left on because after doing the last video tour, I thought it's perhaps better to leave it. And there's another reasonably large one over here somewhere, which is covered by leaves. Can't see it, but the fruits are most certainly. You know, the flowers are dying off now. I can't see that other. Oh, they just saw it's over there. This time of year, now it's cool in the evening and also wet. You know, the slugs and all the other critters are going to have the best of it if you're not careful. So this butternut squash now, because it's turning, you can see it's going that kind of pale sort of browny colour rather than the green that it was before. That's most certainly now ready to pull off. So I'm going to cut that off today, and those winter gourds there, and put them in the greenhouse to fully ripen. I'll be doing that very shortly, but you can see here, look, this is a butternut squash here, look, and the plant's dropped it now because of you can see there's some slugs in there as well. I'll just squash them slugs. So, you know, nothing more is going to come of these, so I'm much better off now taking the ones off. I'm going to leave them couple over there. I don't know if you can see, I'll just zoom in for you. That one there, and there's one just above it there behind the leaf. I'll leave them on for now because they're not much good the size they are anyway. And I'll be perhaps picking them in, I don't know, a couple of weeks hopefully. But obviously if we have a frost, it's going to kill all these dead. So you know, they'll all go mush and all the rest of it. So I'm much better off now picking these. I may even put them in the house to ripen, because obviously if I leave them in the greenhouse they're going to get a frost. So what I might do is pick these and put them on the window ledge in the house just to finish ripening off. So that's the Winterfest. You know, I mean, considering how late I planted them, I haven't done well. You know, sort of too badly really. I mean, they didn't go in. They were I don't know, up to a couple of months late going in. So I've had 7 winter gourds, and I've had a couple of butternut squashes. So really, I cannot complain. This is the other side. I've cleared out all the remains of the sunflowers that are up here now. They all went today, and as I've already said, the sweet peas have gone, and all of the courgette plants. Really looks quite bare now up here, to be honest with you, but still it makes it look much clearer, and you can see where all your veggies are going to go next year. So now's a good time to have a look around and go, yeah, this is a nice place to put this, or whatever. It's back of the tunnels. The raspberries, as I say, you know, there is still a few on. There you go, there's a couple there. But that's the other side. I've dug this over. What I might actually do with this is actually put some wood chippings on the top and leave them there for the winter, and then put some coffee on next year. But the as you can see, the raspberries are still coming, which is really, to think that it's November now. Today's the 2nd of November. It's absolutely amazing to think we've still got raspberries and stuff coming. One quick note on the coffee: if you do get a load of coffee and you're not going to put it on straight away, if you leave it like it is, it will go all kind of mushy and it will start to sort of decay, and it goes all into a mushy, sort of mushy mess. The best thing you can do is, if you get it now and you're not going to put it onto the ground until next spring, it is better fresh, to be honest with you. But if you're going to get it now, let it dry. Open the bag up, let it dry as much as you can. Put it in put it in your house or whatever. Get it nice and warm. Let it all dry out, and then put it in an airtight container As soon as it's dry, you can then put it in the greenhouse over winter and then spread it on in the spring. But there's no reason why you can't put it on the ground now to help with the you know, the rotting down of any matter that you put on the ground. The strawberries really are starting to come to an end now. Even though there are still a few fruits coming, I really don't think they're going to come to much now, because any time now we're going to start to have a frost which will knock all these dead. Now, as you can see underneath these plants, if I just pull the frame over a little bit, you can see there's quite a lot of sort of dead leaves and stuff like that underneath. What I will be doing very shortly is I'll be cutting all of the tops off the strawberries, the whole lot. Don't be tempted to compost them. Either put them into your recycling bin if it's still being collected, or burn them is the best thing. So cut the whole thing off right the way down to the ground, remove all of the dead material, all the leaves, the lot, all the runners that you don't want, cut all of those off. Obviously if you've got any shoots like this, there's no reason why you can't cut that and bob that in a pot for next year, or if you want to extend the strawberries that you've got. As you can see, the roots are already forming there. So if you sever that from the mother plant on the shoot there, just bob that in the ground. That'll happily root away in your greenhouse over winter, or on a window ledge, and obviously you can multiply the plants that you've got. I shan't be doing that. I'll be burning all of these because I don't need any extra plants. But I'll be clearing all of this out, fetching all of the old material out. So basically, I'll go right the way down to just the bare plants and the black fibre stuff that I put on top of the ground to stop the weeds coming through, the membrane stuff. And then I'll be leaving it then over winter, and I shan't do anything until the spring, where as soon as the flower buds start to form, I'll be putting some fresh straw all the way around to to keep the fruit off the ground, which is why they're called strawberries. So that's what's going to happen in the near future. As soon as I get a dry day, I'm going to leave the leaves on for now, let the plants get the best out of them, because obviously whilst the leaves there, that's feeding the tumours for next year. Tubers for next year, and then as soon as they all start to die, which they've already started, I'll be chopping all the top off. So that was the allotment. It's the 2nd of November, as I say, today. So this will be the last part of the October tour, and I shall be just showing you a very quick video now of the where the fence is at the moment, and that'll be today's video finished. So as you can see, I've now got 5 fence panels finished, so I need just another 3 of those to be done. I've stripped down the other load of wood that was on the other side of the shed. That's all been broken down now, and that's ready to be put together as another 2 fence panels. The 8th panel may be slightly different from the rest because I'm running out of this lath board, but I've got a load of tongue and groove off that first piece of shed that you saw on the allotment, so the last one may well be made from that. So I hope you enjoyed the Halloween special today, and I hope the rest of it was of some interest to you. As you can see, I'm starting to make preparations for the putting the fence in, so that's going to happen very shortly. This coming week I'm intending to make the final 3 panels, which then it's all made, painting all of that with fence paint, and then getting it ready to show you on the next video being erected into the garden. The sweet peas, one thing I didn't say was I collected a load more sweet pea seeds off there, so I've now got 2 pots. These have obviously dried already, so they're all sort of ready to go. These ones obviously I've taken off the plant today, so they need to dry a bit, so they'll be all put together very shortly, so I've got loads of seeds for next year. So that's it for today's episode. Please do leave your comments below. I always appreciate any feedback that you give me, and that helps me to plan the videos for the for in the future. There is plenty more to do. Obviously, now that most of the allotment is sort of ready for next year, there'll be sort of a reasonable amount of more sort of preparing the ground, and obviously putting the fence up is coming very shortly. I also intend to do quite a bit of modification in the greenhouse to make it better for me. There's going to be a box down here to put all the pots in and stuff like that, which is a pot which I don't normally use to plant anything. I'm also going to be putting some more of these up, which is like a box which I'll bolt to the wall, and this is really good for putting all your tools and your bits and bobs in, so you don't, so if you're ever trying to find anything, you know where it is. It always saves you time if you know where stuff is. So there's going to be a lot of that going on. So a lot of it now is going to be kind of indoorsy type stuff, obviously because the weather and the light's not here. There is still going to be plenty of things going on outside, but over the sort of later autumn, winter months, I'm going to be explaining how to prepare stuff for next year. Obviously in January we'll start to plant out the seeds and everything for next year. So there'll be videos on that, but in the next couple of months there'll be a few things to be sort of made ready for next year, which is stuff that you can all be doing over the winter months. It is a 12-month of the year hobby. There is stuff you can do, so there'll be all bits and bobs coming up with with respect to that. So anyway, thank you to everybody that subscribed. I do appreciate your support, and I shall see you on the next edition of Jim's Allotment Garden. Sorry, I really couldn't help myself. You only get Halloween once a year.